when you start a bull market, you own Bitcoin, then you start overweighting ETH. And then what happens is everything that's riskier starts going up more. So these are things that are earlier in their adoption cycle. And then the super risky stuff like NFTs. So that's how bull markets always work. So what I did is I said, listen, I'm going to own some Bitcoin and some ETH. And I, over time, have moved more of my allocation to ETH. But I bought a basket of stuff. I said, I don't know whether Polkadot, Cardano, Solana, whatever's going to outperform. So I just did a basket equally weighted. And then I've been watching it. And so it's done really well. I put it on the beginning of the year. It's up, I don't know, 150% or so. And now I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to start concentrating the bets in the ones that I think in this last quarter, where I think the big bull market lies, those outperformers are the ones you really want to back. So that's kind of how I've been thinking about it. I did the idiot's portfolio first, which is like, I don't know, because it's hard to know what's, it's hard to know. So that was the idiot's way. Then I start looking at seeing, okay, what's getting adoption.
What is your thought about Cardano from, a functional standpoint and also a price standpoint?
So, we've had Charles Hoskinson a few times on Real Vision. I like the project. I think it's very interesting. We really need to see more network adoption. Yeah. So it's early stage for me still. So, the price is going up. It's doing well. There's a big community behind it. So that gives you one side of the network. We need to see more use cases outside of the Ethiopia case that's being talked about a lot. So, I own some and I'm just waiting to see really, is it going to start getting a lot of traction, people building stuff on it? I know people are waiting for the smart contract side. So, maybe it's not the biggest outperformer in this cycle. But, if it survives this cycle and continues to get adoption, it'll probably do very well in the next cycle. I own it because there's a lot of investors in it. And if the ecosystem builds out, it's going to do incredibly well. And as you say, maybe it rallies into that as, everyone knows smart contracts is the issue. Yeah. So that's everybody knows. So therefore, when smart contracts come out, it's kind of like, okay, well, that's what we've been waiting for. We know it's coming. It's like the ETH 2.0. We know it's coming. Yeah. There's too many smart people working on it for it not to happen. So yeah, I agree. I think you're right.
And then, what do you see for XRP?
XRP is a great risk reward, right? What's interesting about XRP is there is quite a lot of use cases. Now, I know a bunch of Bitcoin people hate it. It's not decentralized enough. I don't care. It's, are people using it? And what's amazing about this setup is you can't buy us on any of the exchanges. And it's not in the Bitwise ETF. The Bitwise ETF is now $1 billion. The Bitwise index is, the top 10 index is $1 billion. So the moment XRP is freed, they have to buy a few $100 million of it, as everybody else can, because the exchanges will have it back. So you're setting up for a hell of a nice run if this clears up. Worst case, it doesn't. Worst case is, let's say 50% downside. Best case is 10x from here. So I'll take a 50-to-1 risk reward for the next 3 to 6 months.
What are your thoughts on Solana right now?
Solana, I think, is I wrote an article about this weekend. I've been looking at it, wasn't sure what to do with it, and then I think it's the ETH of this cycle. Wow! Remember the ETH of the last, ETH was the one that became the big new thing. I think it's this, because the pedigree of all the people involved in it, the speed of adoption is ridiculous. I mean, it's growing faster than ETH did at that point in the cycle. The number of application, the ecosystem it's like, somebody just sent me a chart of the ecosystem. There's like 300 people already working with Solana. It's like, okay, this is real. And this is happening at a speed none of us can get our heads around. It's kind of like everybody wanted Cardano to happen. Is that actually happening in Solana right now? As you say, doesn't mean Cardano doesn't over time, but Solana looks like it's going to win this, this cycle.